Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
The state won't do it, but tonight, Oakland County's health department is mandating masks for students and staff in all schools.
We begin with tonight's stormy weather that brought a lot of lightning over Metro Detroit. This
is video that our Tim Pamplin just sent into the newsroom. Right now, DTE reporting 61,000 customers without power. We continue a theme of the summer. Andrew, let's find out if the storms are finished.
Well, Karen and Devin, what a light storm we had, right? And no, it is not finished. Now, the severe weather that we saw earlier, fortunately, that is all said and done. But we're still looking at light to moderate showers across the area, and there are still flood concerns. Even without the heavy rain currently falling, it's pretty much stopped raining in Trenton for now. But this waterlogged area from Trenton over to Riverview in the southeast corner of Wayne County, including Rose Hill, is still seeing high water. So we still have flash flood warnings there until 1 o'clock in the morning. Look how much rain fell within the past 6 hours. Over an inch, over 2 inches in these areas of dark green and yellow down toward Rose Hill. Same thing here in parts of St. Clair County. Nearly 1.5 inches in Macomb County, just over an inch out toward Plymouth. And same thing up toward the Flint area, with more shower and thunderstorm activity on the way. Now, much of this has dissipated over the past couple of hours, but it is still marching in our direction. So I still would not be surprised by scattered light to moderate showers as we go through the overnight hours. 73 right now, and it remains warm and muggy overnight. We'll talk about what you can expect tomorrow morning because it will be a little bit wet, but will be a lot wetter tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk more about that in your 7-day forecast coming up.
Okay, Andrew, our other big story at 11 tonight. Oakland County now requiring all students and staff to wear masks when they return to school.
The new order impacts both public and private schools regardless of vaccination status and is effective immediately. Our Mara McDonald live in Southfield right now. Mara, the governor had said it was up to each district to chart a course.
Well, that's right, Karen, but you know, the state has the power to issue these mask mandates, and so far it has not. But county health departments are starting to step in. On our side of the state, Oakland County is the first to do so. So let me show you what's now required.
To go to school, you got to be vaccinated with all these other vaccines.
Parents discussing the pros and cons tonight of that new health department order at a multi-school cross-country meet up in Clawson.
School district last week put out a mandate that they will be requiring masks in school for the teachers and students. So this new announcement by the Oakland County Health Department, it was already made by Troy.
The order from the county health department says all students pre-K through 12 have to be masked inside school until the county is at moderate community spread of COVID per the CDC for 14 days.
It's a conundrum we've already talked about. You know, I could see both sides of it. I see the argument, you know, and like we discussed, you know, everyone has a plan in place. You could put all these orders and plans in place, and then it just comes down to who's enforcing it.
Kanar believes in the vaccines. He believes in keeping kids safe, but he also knows, as the parent of 2 children, exactly how compliant mask wearing really was.
All this was in place last year. Kids in school, of course, they went to school with a mask, but no, kids were not wearing a mask throughout the year.
As the new school year begins, the mask issue has become contentious, with pro-mask and anti-mask parents going at each other and their school boards. Even districts which had opted for mask optional to start had warned parents if cases started to rise, masks would be reimposed. Back here live, so county health departments started taking action on the west side of the state first. You have Kent, Ottawa, Allegan, and Kalamazoo that have all mandated masks in school, with a big difference from Oakland, though. On the west side of the state, they're doing K through 6. Oakland has opted to do pre-K through 12. We're live in Southfield tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
All right, thank you, Mara. And as the school year approaches, we are starting to see a trend toward schools requiring masks, or at least considering it.
Now, in Wayne County, there are 7 districts now requiring masks. That includes Plymouth Canton schools. They just made that announcement today. In Macomb, just 3, though one of them is Warren Consolidated, one of the largest school districts in the state. ClickOnDetroit.com has been hard at work trying to keep a running list of the schools requiring masks. They are listed by county. You type in your school's name to search for it. You'll find it under the Coronavirus Resources section, which is on the right-hand side of the front page, just under our top stories, and we will keep updating it.
when children do return to school, we know some will be playing catch up when it comes to learning critical skills. So tomorrow at 6:30 a.m., from reading to writing to remembering what they learned, Dr. McGeorge will have the latest research on ways parents can help students boost their performance and start off the school year right.
We are following breaking news tonight in Lansing, where a small plane has crashed at Capital Regional International Airport.
The small commuter aircraft burst into flames shortly after crashing, but fortunately everyone did get out safely and all passengers are okay. Right now, investigators are still trying to determine what went wrong.
The two men who were charged with violating election law and voter intimidation for making thousands of robocalls to Detroiters ahead of last year's presidential election could each go to jail for 12 years. But tonight they've got another problem, and that's with the FCC. Let's bring in Jason Colthorpe here with more on a proposed $5 million fine for the pair. Jason.
And that would be the largest fine in the history for something like this, Devin. And it goes to show you again, the powers that be are going to do everything they can under the letter of the law to not stand for voter suppression or election violations.
When Jack Burkman, the 54-year-old conservative lobbyist from Virginia, and Jacob Wall, the 22-year-old L.A. conspiracy theorist, were arraigned last October on 4 felony counts each, the key number was 85,000. 85,000 or so robocalls they are accused of making to mostly minorities in cities including Detroit, trying to scare people from voting by mail.
That if you vote by mail, your personal information will be part of a public database.
But that number was dwarfed by the FCC, which is now proposing a $5.1 million fine for the pair, the largest ever under the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. AG Dana Nessel releasing this statement tonight on the news. This massive fine properly reflects the seriousness of the allegations these two political operatives face. Mr. Berkman and Mr. Wall allegedly orchestrated a series of robocalls aimed at suppressing the vote in the November general election. While my office will continue to pursue the criminal case against these men, I applaud the FCC for its action today.
And not the last we will hear from Berkman and Wall. They still have to stand trial in Wayne County Circuit Court for the charges here. That's after they tried and failed to get the case thrown out in May. Their next court appearance, September 21st. Reporting live, Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
A Taylor police officer is charged after being accused of attacking a man he was arresting after a domestic violence call. 23-year-old Officer Tyler Peak is charged with felony misconduct in office and misdemeanor assault and battery. The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office says he punched a Southfield man in the face and then hit him several times once he was on the ground. Peak is expected to be in court on those charges tomorrow.
Now to Westland, where an officer who was just recently hired is facing assault charges. Sebastian Iavasile was arrested over the weekend in Northville for a domestic violence incident while he was off duty. He was just sworn in as an officer on July 6th. The Westland Police Department released a statement saying he's been placed on administrative leave pending the conclusion of the investigation.
An investigation underway tonight in Grosse Pointe Farms after the rooftop patio at the Henry Ford Medical Center on Kercheval catches fire. Now, fortunately, no one was hurt, but all 3 floors suffered water and smoke damage. As a result, the clinic will be closed tomorrow.
President Biden is holding the U.S. to his deadline on leaving Afghanistan. The U.S. has overseen evacuations of more than 70,000 people now, including 4,000 Americans and their families. The president has, though, asked for contingency plans in case the U.S. needs to stay on beyond the end of the month. The Taliban is insisting the U.S. stay on deadline, which is August 31st, but there is an ongoing security risk.
Every day we're on the ground is another day we know that ISIS-K is seeking to target the airport and attack both U.S. and allied forces and innocent civilians.
The evacuations again will continue now through August 31st. Tomorrow, a federal judge is going to sentence the Heartland man who pleaded guilty to plotting to kidnap Governor Whitmer and agreed to help investigators.
25-year-old Ty Garbin will be sentenced in Grand Rapids. Prosecutors say he will tell the court the group's alleged plan to kidnap the governor and possibly harm her was real and not just talk. The other men charged argue the FBI planted men inside their group and set them up. Guidelines call for Garvin to face 17.5 years in prison. Prosecutors asking the judge to give him 9. Still ahead here at 11, an elderly man confesses to killing a teenager 47 years ago.
You had so many choices that night. You didn't have to kill her. You did not have to kill her.
The emotional message from the victim's family after finally getting justice.
Plus a chance to have your voice heard about the recent power outages. Find out who's asking to hear people's stories and how to tell yours.
But first, this Oakland County man facing life in prison for what Sheriff Bouchard is calling one of the most savage attacks that he has ever seen. That is next.